Do you ever spend a whole lot of time explaining something to someone only to get a really blank look? Well, you might not be tailoring your message to your audience. Hey everyone, this is Piers Sinclair from SSW TV, and today I'm here to talk to you about tailoring your message to your audience. I'm a Scrum Master, and I work with teams all across the globe. And I've noticed a consistent problem where people have different backgrounds and they have different experience. They've got different worldviews, and they forget that other people have a different perspective to them. So what you need to do is you need to figure out what your audience cares about and tailor your message towards it. A product owner might care about business value, effort, and roadblocks. Meanwhile, a developer probably cares about technical specifics. A designer, they might care about the user experience. So let's take a look at an example. You're working on the Northern Traders app and you've been asked to add the customer name field to the project's page. Now you've got three problems here. Firstly, there's a technical problem because there's no relationship between the customer name and the project's table. Secondly, there's a design issue. You're not sure where to put the customer name field onto the project's page. And thirdly, there's a problem with the effort because you're going to exceed the estimate and you need to let the product owner know. So let's have a look at a bad example where you're talking to the product owner. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to explain to them everything all at once. So you wouldn't say something like, hey, I'm working on this issue and I've hit 2 roadblocks. I've got a technical issue where there's no relationship in the database between the customer table and the projects table. Also got a design issue because I'm not sure where to put the customer name field on the projects page. I've also got a problem with the effort because I think I'm going to exceed that effort and that's going to be an issue. Once I've addressed all of these different things, then we'll be able to deploy to production. So the problem with that is that then you're going to have a very confusing message for your audience to decipher. So a good example, if you're talking to a product owner like Adam, is you want to talk about business value and effort and not focus on the design or technical issue. So you would say something like, hey, I'm working on this issue and I've hit 2 roadblocks. There's a design and a technical issue, so I'll talk to the team about those. And I'm also going to exceed the estimate on this issue and because I've already worked on it quite a bit. Would you like any more technical details or are you happy for me to get cracking? So if you word the message that way, then what's going to happen is they see exactly what they care about very quickly. You've also asked them if they want more technical details, if they're more of a technical product owner. So they have that option too. Now, if you're talking to a developer like William, then you would focus on the technical specifics. So you might say something like, hey, I'm working on this issue. I'm adding the customer name field to the projects page, but I've noticed there's no relationship between the customer table and the projects table. I'm going to add it. Do you agree? So if you do it that way, now you've got it really focused on what the developer cares about. If you're talking to a designer, that's where you talk about the user experience. So you might say something like, hey, I'm working on adding this customer name field to the projects page. I'm not sure exactly where to put it, but I'm thinking the top right of the page. Do you agree with putting it there? So now you've focused on exactly what Jaden's going to care about. You can take this whole thing to another level once you know the individual. Every individual has different things that they care about. For example, you might have a product owner that you know cares a lot about meeting deadlines, but not so much about meeting the budget. In that case, if you're going to miss the deadline, you might say something like, hey, I think that we are going to miss the deadline, but if we increase the budget, well, then that's not going to be an issue anymore. So now you've talked about exactly what he's going to care about. You can take everything to another level, the top level, once you start reading the room. And that is where you figure out what are people's emotional states and how do you tailor the message to that. For example, if someone's stressed, then now is probably not the time to overload them with tasks. If somebody is distracted, then you probably don't want to bring up a big systemic change. So today, I've taken you through how to tailor your message to your audience. We've got an awesome rule on this subject. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback down below. This is Piers Sinclair from SSW TV, signing off.